Welcome to Flats Nation Sound Bites, where we share tips, tricks, and product information to help you better enjoy our sport and lifestyle. And a big shout out to Brother Dave Fader for the awesome music. You can check out more of Dave's phenomenal work on davidfader.com. Welcome to Flats Nation Sound Bites. In this episode, we will hear a quick slice of the excellent show with our friend Captain Tommy Derringer about the number one reason anglers do not get strikes in productive waters. And I'll give you a quick hint. It concerns both noise and stealth.
What do you feel is the number one mistake anglers make that just kills their strike ratio when they're out there? Is it lack of cover scent? Is it boat noise? I mean, you have people on your bow almost every day. What do you see as the biggest mistake they make?
I love that question. I really do, because I feel very strongly that it's a noise thing. I think that, it can be a number of things, but I think most importantly and least, I think, thought about thing is the noise factor, because back in the day, everybody's pulling their boat around, being pretty quiet, no big deal. It's, a little hull slap. I don't think even that's that big of a deal for most fish around, or did used to be anyways. These days, of course, everybody has trolling motors, which is cool, which is fine. But I think a lot of people don't understand how much noise and how those fish react, how much noise those trolling motors can make if they're not using them the right way. And the fish react. I mean, it amazes me. Let me just give you a scenario. This is where I'm coming from. This is a few weeks ago. I was on a flat. There was nobody else on this flat at the time. It's a big flat. I don't know how big, but it's big. And it was first thing in the morning, slicked out, calm conditions. And this is when it was still cooler out, and there were some schools of redfish around. So I'm up there. We're actually staked out. We're power poled down. We're waiting for these fish to come to us instead of chasing them, which is a good technique if you can figure that out.
Exactly.
But, so we're sitting there waiting, and another boat comes to the edge of the flat, shuts his motor off, which is good. And then troll motors up on the flat, which is the same thing I did, which is fine. But once on the flat, he was using his trolling motor on a high speed. And the fish that were almost in range of us, which were, a long ways away from this guy, bumped up and hauled butt and were gone. So, maybe 10 years ago, the fish weren't that sensitive to it, but I feel like these days, that trolling motor noise, it's like somebody coming over a loudspeaker and saying, get out of Dodge, leave, danger. So I think, the fish, they're just going to get more and more sensitive to that kind of stuff. So I think if you can really kind of think about what you're doing with that trolling motor and come in quietly, and then when you're using the trolling motor, try to stay at a constant speed, a constant low speed.
Constant low speed.
Yeah, constant.
Or better yet, let the wind blow you in.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything necessarily wrong. It's just, I think to get to fish these days, you have to be aware of the amount of noise that you're making, because I think you don't realize how far away those fish can feel you or hear you or whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. When I'm on we have some big flats here, and when you get on them and you start that trolling motor up, and then you see the fish hump up, 300 yards away from you, and it's
you're flushing them out like quail.
Right, and really, your chances of catching a fish once you've bumped them up with the trolling motor, even if it's 300 yards away, goes down significantly. I mean, way down. You have so much better of a chance of getting one to eat whatever it is you're throwing at them if you get up to them without them knowing you're there, obviously. But yes, I think that's definitely the number one thing. And it can be this, it's not just the trolling motor, it can be moving around the boat, or I get the old, slamming the cooler, because people just don't, people that aren't quote unquote fishermen, they don't realize that when you're in a foot of water, if they stand up and stomp on the boat, that noise carries so far.
It does.
And I have to remind people, as a fishing guide, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of fishing guides, it's, there's kind of a little bit of a fine line. You don't want to, somebody comes from the bottom, they're inside the boat and they step up onto the deck and they thump the deck, and you want to scream, but you just say, hey, look, hey, you got to try to be light on your feet. But a lot of times at that point, it's too late. That's the fish are
you already flushed them out. That's right.
They're gone. So yeah, I would say, if anybody takes anything away from what we're talking about at all, be stealthy. No matter how you're going to go about doing it, whether you're poling or trolling motoring or drifting or whatever it is, be stealthy. You will catch, I promise you will catch more fish if you are as stealthy as you can be.
And speaking of stealth, another factor to consider when targeting fish in skinny water is visual movements, which is why God makes many shorebirds the color that he does. And it's not to hide from you. It is a blend into the background of the sky above and from the fish's point of view. You can see more about this aspect in our article. Yes, they can see you moving around. And this is why we also selected specific skylight colors for our new Flats Nation technical wear to give you a couple of extra seconds or feet to make that cast towards that trophy you just saw out of the corner of your eye. You can view all 4 of these colors and order your shirt and face combos in our store. So, from myself and the rest of the team here on Flats Nation, here's the rest of Dave Fader's awesome work to help you relax. Tight lines. God bless.